Welcome back to another video made by me. Now then, today's video, we're gonna study for the AP World exam in the worst way possible, which is by playing a Roblox game that is on the subject of AP World. Please be advised that this is probably not probably, your worst method of studying for the AP World exam. Take it seriously, read the actual book, and don't do what I'm doing right now, which is playing a game to study. Now then, with one day left, or a couple of hours left before I actually take my AP World exam, let's do this. Let's test my knowledge. Now then, Unit 1. Okay, I forgot to mention, we are starting off with Unit 1, the year 2000 to 1450. Now let's go. Okay. Unit 1 focuses on how states were organized, how religion influenced society and government, and how innovation and belief systems spread. You'll explore the similarities and differences between societies and how they responded to both internal challenges and outside influences. Now then, okay. Which of the following best describes the political structure of the Song dynasty in China? Decentralized feudalism with competing warlords, strong centralized bureaucracy based on merit, confederation of city-states ruled by merchants, military dictatorship by the samurai. Okay, first of all, samurai, no. That was in Japan, so we could cross that out. Uh, Feudalism, if I remember, that was in Europe, so no. I don't think they were. I don't think they were a confederation. So let's go with B. B. Oh, we got it right. The Islamic Golden Age is best described. No, the Islamic Golden Age is best associated with which of the following? Hmm, if I remember, Constantinople was Christian. Timbuktu, I don't remember that one. Baghdad, that I remember, that was Islamic, so I'm gonna put C. Okay. Okay, which philosophy was the most influential in shaping Chinese governance during the Song Dynasty? Okay, this one has to be the easiest. Everybody should know. It's Confucianism. Interesting. Which of the following statements best describes the role in women in Song China? Women were allowed to own property and vote in local councils. Foot binding. Oh yeah, it was foot binding. I remember that one. Yeah, it was disgusting looking at their feet being twisted, but if that sounds rude, saying disgusting. I think some of them were really forced into it. The Delhi Sultanate in India was established by which group? Okay, the Mongols, I don't think so. The Hindus, they're a sultanate. That means they must be Islamic. So I think it's C. Oh yeah, I was right. Which empire is most associated with Mansa Musa and his famous pilgrimage to Mecca? Okay, the top two, I believe they're African empires, while the bottom two, I don't think they are. I think it was B, the Mali Empire. That sounds more, yeah. In feudal Japan, who held the real political power? Okay, now this one, okay, the emperor was more of a, hmm, more as a more tra guy focused more on tradition. He didn't really have power in, let's just say, war. The shogun, however, was the one who actually had the most power. What was one major way Islamic empires helped preserve and expand knowledge in the post-classic era by eliminating all cultural traditions, translating Greek? I think it was, yeah, if I remember, they made a bunch of schools in order to process already made innovations and cover and study them or expand further on them. So I feel like it's B. Yep. So far, so good. What is the significance of the tribute system in China? Okay, if I remember, the three countries that followed the tribute system was Korea, Vietnam. Actually, no, I think it was just two. Japan didn't really do it because they were far away into the ocean. Okay, but anyways, the significant. Okay, it showed Chinese submission to foreign powers. It was used to collect taxes from European merchants. It was a way to manage foreign relationships and assert dominance. It allowed emperors. I feel like it was C. It's either between C. Actually, no, I don't think it was A. I think it was just C. So let's go with. Yep, got it right. Ooh, that was a close one. Which factor played the greatest role in unifying the culture of the Islamic world? From 12,000 to 14. Okay, let's see. Hmm. Okay, this one's hard because I do remember they were expanding the territorial expansion led by one. Common use of. Oh, this one's a hard one. Maybe it was this one because they were mostly Arab speaking, maybe. Oh yeah, I got it right. Okay. The defining features of the feudal system in medieval Europe including hierarchy. Okay, this one's kind of obvious. There was a lot of kings, queens, lords, and stuff like that. This has to be it. Yep. Which belief system expanded through Silk Roads and had a significant impact on East and Central Asia by the year 2000? Uh, I believe this was Buddhism. Yep, Buddhism. How did Confucian-based civil service exams influence Chinese societies during the Song Dynasty? Okay, now this one's should be easy. This one helped even the poorest of the poor, the lowest of the low, rise up. So it should be blue. Yep. Now this one, I don't know how it's pronounced. The Bhakti movement in South Asia emphasized personal devotion to a deity over castle or ritual, ritual sacrifice and strict. Okay, Asia. I don't think they really did sacrifices. So I'll go with. Oh yeah. Which factor helped the spread of Islam in West Africa during this period? I No, they didn't really have a navy, but they did have merchants in what was it? The sand roads. Yes, the sand roads. Hmm. The Inca Empire was able to unify a large territory through a castle-based religious system. Okay, this one I remember. They built like roads across their entire territory to like connect all the villages that they had conquered. Now then, blue. Which empire is known for its use of chinampas? Oh, this was easy. This one's the Aztec Empire. They would use like human-made plots of land, and they put in like swamps or places with a lot of water and high fertility, and would grow their crops in these human-made plots, and they would grow their crops very quickly since their empire was growing during that time. Now then, no, it's Confucianism. The system of okay, Confucianism, we can skip that one. I'm pretty sure what it is. Res well, one of the teachings of Confucianism, which is filial piety, respecting those who are above you. You're born into a family, you respect your parents, possibly your elders, and then when you move on to life away from that home, you're expected to respect those in power, like the emperor. Imperial bureaucracy, the division of an empire into organized provinces to make it easier to control. Now, I don't have a good example of this one, so Neo-Confucianism, a philosophy that emerged in Song Dynasty China, it revived Confucian thinking while adding in Buddhist and Taoist elements. Yeah, I remember there's like a clash between these beliefs in the Chinese population. Like Taoists not really into Confucianism. I could be wrong. I could be LARPing. Anyways, let's continue. Grand Canal. I remember this one. I think is the canal that I'm thinking in my head where they built it, but in the process, many died while building it. Mayans, pretty easy. Great Zimbabwe flourished. It grew as Africa entered the sand roads, which brought a lot of wealth. Central, okay, no. Feudalism. Yep, that's how we normally see Europe in the old days. Those were the major belief systems back then in 12,000 to 1450. Confucianism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, and Christianity. Okay. Huge innovations. Gunpowder. Oh my God. That was a long road for gunpowder. Paper, pretty important. Printing, Chinampa, rice, major civilizations, the Song Dynasty, Dar is al-Islam, Al-Sfid, Caliphate. I don't know how to pronounce those ones, but you get the point. Luxury goods that were traded. Oh, I know a couple, like spices, gold. Oh yeah. Unit 1. We completed Unit 1. Now let's go to Unit 2. Still in 12,000 to 1450. Now let's see. Unit 2 is all about connection, movement, and interaction and how global exchange shaped the world long before the age of European exploration. Keep in mind the Mongol Empire and its impact is one of the most tested topics for Unit 2. Okay, so let's keep in mind in the test, the APA test, the Mongols are going to be mentioned. I mean, it's kind of obvious. They had a huge impact considering that they were simple nomads. Well, I think you could describe them as simple nomads. Not really simple at all. Which innovation helped improve long-distance trade along the Silk Roads during the post-classic era? Now, I remember this paper money because gold and silver, they were pretty heavy to carry around, so paper money was pretty light. So this helped. The Mongol Empire facilitated trade across Eurasia primarily by building a large merchant navy, creating a period of yes, I remember. The Mongols promoted merchants. They helped merchants actually, keeping the roads safe from bandits. Which of the following trade networks was most dependent on monsoon? Okay, not monsoons. Monsoons. What were monsoons? They're temporary winds that come along the seasons. Like winter, you could go north. South, you can go south. I mean, no. What the frick am I talking about? Winter, you can go north. Summer, you can go south. That's an example. They would usually appear in the ocean. And what do we have here? The Indian Ocean trade. The Swahili coast became an important part of Indian Ocean trade work due to its access to valuable goods like gold and ivory trade, the naval attacks on the robbed cities. No, this was more. This was in Africa, if I remember. So, and Africa had a lot of gold and ivory. Ivory from elephants, I assume. Yep. Which empire played a major role in reviving and protecting trade along the Silk Roads in the 13th and, oh, I guess they didn't finish it, but like I said, the Mongols protected the Silk Road, so I'm gonna assume it's the Mongols. Yep. Diasporic communities formed in port cities Indian Ocean, across the Indian Ocean due to, okay, if I remember this term, diasporic communities, they're communities made out of people of a different culture in another place of a completely different culture. They're a minority. So, like we could say, Islamic merchants in India, which, hmm exactly what this is. Merchants settling far from home and blending cultures. Yep. Which of the following was a major effect of the Black Death in Eurasia? Let's see. Major effect. The collapse of maritime trade cultures decrease. Okay. Because of the death of everybody, many jobs were left empty. So I'm assuming it's this one. Yep. Which trade route primarily transported salt, gold, and enslaved people across the desert terrain? Now, this one's kind of obvious. The keyword desert terrain. Trans-Sahara. Boom. Which of the following helped to spread Islam along trade routes during this period? Merchants, Sufi mystics, and diasporic. We already talked about that in like 2 questions ago, so it's this one. Which cities became a major cultural and central hub due to its position on the Silk Roads? I feel like it was this. I don't remember seeing this name. Samarkand? I think that's how you say it. Baghdad, however, I've seen it before. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a mistake. Thankfully, I remember all of them, so I could speedrun them. Yes. No. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna have to start. Okay, I never knew this city. I don't remember talking about this city. So it's this city, okay, that was huge commercial. Okay, I'm gonna have to, because I know a couple of them. Like Morocco, I think it was. Mecca. Okay. Notes, Silk Road, pretty. Unit 1 and 2, they're pretty easy. I know I'm pretty well with them. I just didn't know the last one. Which of the following best explains how the Mongols contributed to the growth of trade across Eurasia? They imposed high taxes on merchants to fund their military campaigns. They established a universal currency system. They provided security. Okay, this one's. We already talked about this. They provided security to merchants from bandits. Which of the following regions was directly used by the Yuan dynasty, a branch of the Mongol Empire? Oh, wait. Why am I hesitating? This is China. The Mongol Empire was unique in the world history because it unified almost all of Africa under one rule. It was the first seafaring empire in Asia. It created yeah, the Mongols created a pretty huge empire. Which of the following was a major cultural result of Mongol rule in China? The revival of Confucian examination systems under Kublai Khan, the replacement of Buddhism with Islam, the spread of Neo-Confucianism to Europe, and the use of foreign advisors and the suspension. Okay, if I remember, the Mongols were pretty tolerant with whatever religion you had. If I, so that means the use of foreign ambassadors. That seems pretty reasonable. I believe it's this one. Yep. Why were the Mongols largely unsuccessful in their invasions of Japan and Southeast Asia? Okay, now this one's easy. They were hit by an unfortunate time of weather. Monsoons, typhoons. Yep, here it is. See, which of the following best describes Mongol religious policy across their empire? Okay, now we talked about this again. They they allowed religious tolerance and supported various belief systems. Yes. They tolerated him. B. Yay, we did it. Let's go revoke. Okay, okay, this one's important. This is the city that we didn't remember. A city in present-day Uzbekistan that was a stopping point on the Silk Roads between China and the Mediterranean. Okay. Yes, I remember this one. This one was a thing that the Mongols made. They funded merchants. Okay, blah 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 blah. Yeah, bro. Genghis Khan, Khanganate, White Lotus Society. I remember that. Secret religious society dedicated to overthrow the Yuan. Oh, okay. What role did the Caravanserai? Okay, we don't know, but we don't know how to pronounce. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I know the answer to this. Provided lodging supplies. Right. Which of the following best explains why luxury goods dominated long-distance trade routes like the Silk Road? No, they did not matter. The high value justified the cost, and yeah, they were pretty valuable, especially silk during that time. One key similarity between the Silk Roads and the Indian Ocean trades were both connected Europe and Sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah, they wait. What was this one? Never mind. They did not connect both. No, it facilitated. Okay, I see. Facil well, actually, yes. Silk Road, bit of Buddhism, Indian Ocean, Islam. Yeah. How did the diffusion of technologies like I don't know how that one is, and magnetic compass affect marine? Okay, this improved it. hmm Allowed more reliable open sea navigation. The city of Timbuktu in Africa became a central part of. Hmm. Okay, I don't think this was in the Mongols' reach yet, so, yep. Islamic scholarship and trade. Marco Polo. Ina Batuta. Okay, Ina Batuta was like the Islamic Marco Polo, only much, only different. Yep, but he did travel a lot. Mansa Musa, the pretty rich guy. Okay, Unit 2. We done Unit 2. Now for Unit 3. Now we're going into a different time period. 1450 to 1750. That's like 300 years, 3 centuries. Unit 3 explores how these empires expanded, governed, and interacted with each other, setting the stage for both global conflict and cultural flourishing. What did the Ottoman, Safavid, and Mongol empires have in common that earned them the title Gunpowder Empires? Yes, I remember. Okay, and this blue says they traded gunpowder to Europe for silky spices. Obviously, Europe did not produce silk nor spices. However, the reason why they have the title gunpowder empires is because they used gunpowdered weapons like cannons to conquer, especially since a bunch of Islamic states, the Islamic world wasn't really unified, so they fought against each other. How did the Ottoman Empire legitimize its rule over diverse populations? Okay, the Ottoman Empire. Hmm. Okay, if I remember, they kind of converted them. into following their orders, the diverse populations, just like the Janissaries, I think they were called, where it was just Christian people conscripted into the army of his. You get the point. Which of the following best describes the Dervish system in the Ottoman Empire? Grant. Mm, I think this is I think this is the system that I was talking about in that last question about Christian boys. Yep, I was right. Oh yes, this guy. I remember this guy. The Mongol Emperor Akbar is known for. This guy was pretty tolerant. He was chill with other religions. Which land-based empire emerged as a powerful force in East Asia and expanded its territory under emperors like Kanzai and Huailong? I think this is the Qing dynasty. Yep. The Safid Empire was distinct from its neighbors mainly because it adopted I think it was this one. Yep. I think it was also, I was gonna say the other thing. No, this is the Safid. This is not okay, again, back to this. The building of the monumental architecture such as the Taj Mahal served as which political purpose in the land-based empires? Demonstrated about I don't think there was tourists during this time. Which of the following did both the Russian and Qing empires do during this time period? Expanded Central. Yeah, I remember the Russians expanded further. Okay. Religious conflict between the Ottoman and Safavid empires was largely based on the difference in language and script. I think I mean, Islam was pretty split, so I think it was that one. So, and yeah, I was right. Wow, I'm pretty slow. Which of the following was a strategy used by land-based empires to collect revenue and control populations? Tax farming. Wasn't this more like the tax farming part, like Islamic tribute collection by decentralized? I think it was this one. Never mind. So, it was the other one, okay. Well, it was. Okay, now we know that they taxed farming and they had administration. One key method the Manchu Qing rulers used to consolidate control over the Chinese population was eliminating Confucianism and adopting Buddhism, maintaining the civil service. I don't know. Was this the empire that I think it was this one. Yep, okay. Which of the following best explains why the Tokugawa shogunate in Japan restricted foreign influence during this period to stop the spread of Christianity and maintain. Okay, yeah, I remember. They were like, no, we don't want your religion. Get out of here. We want to be left alone. How did the gunpowder technology most significantly impact state building in the early modern period? Okay, first of all, we can scratch this off immediately. Reduce the cost of war, making it more peaceful. What? It enabled ruler. Yeah, because you can have archers, but it takes skill to learn how to use a bow. But with gunpowdered weapons, it doesn't take skill. And if you have a lot of people with them, even though they had bad accuracy, you could still hit something if you have a huge row of people with gunpowdered weapons. Okay, anyways. The construction of the Forbidden City in Ming China is an example of the religious shrine used for Buddhist pilgrimage, monumental architecture to showcase imperial power. I think this was, yeah, this was more for it. Now then, let's read about the different empires during this era. Ottoman, I know. Constantinople, I remember this one. I like to call it Cantaloupe. Christian city got taken over by. Islamic rule. I forgot if it got taken back. Or the Mongol. This was in India. Yeah, I remember. Russian Empire. I mean, they were pretty not. They were strong until France started helping them out in the Industrial Revolution, I think. Okay, this is pretty basic. Okay, why was Russia considered a land-based empire during this period? It relied on transatlantic colonization. I don't think there was coloniz. No, Russia wasn't in colonization. Wasn't colonizing. It expanded eastward overland into Siberia. Yeah, I remember this. They pushed the Siberian natives. Which of the following empires most strongly promoted a syncreted blend of local and foreign traditions? Tokugawa, we can scratch that off immediately. They were like, no, get out of here. Hmm. Oh, I think it's C. This guy had tolerance. Oh yeah, got it right. Which was one similarity in the way the Ottoman and the Mongol empires managed their diverse populations. Both forced mass conversions to Islam? No. Both use systems that allowed a degree of autonomy for religious minorities? Yes, I remember this one. It was B. Oh yeah, bunch of notes. Uh, okay, we get this one. Okay, I got this one. Yeah, okay. Vocab. Let's see. Faith. Okay. Oh, Dutch. The Dutch East India Company. Okay, now we're gonna start into the colonization. Okay, boom. Columbian Exchange. Yep, the major thing that started all started huge impact. Well, we did Unit 3. Now for Unit 4. We're still in the time period of 1450 to 1715. Okay, Unit 4 marks the beginning of a truly globalized world as cultures, goods, diseases, and ideas moved across oceans and empires competed for dominance. Water break. Which of the following best describes the Portuguese role in global trade during the 16th century? They created vast land-based empires in Africa, established trading post empires along the. Yes, I remember it. They made trading posts. So this is B. Which of the following crops from the Americas had the. Okay, I remember this one. Potatoes and corn, which was C. Who doesn't like corn? I wouldn't blame them for the huge population spike because of corn and potatoes. They're the best. Anyway, which of the following best explains a major effect of the Columbian Exchange on the Americas? A dramatic decline in European population due to its maize dependency, the introduction of deadly diseases that, yep, this was the most major and tragic thing that was brought from the Columbian Exchange, the diseases that the Europeans brought to the natives. Which of the following contributed most directly to the success of Spanish colonization in the Americas? Protestant mercenary efforts, Chinese naval support? Nope, the Chinese did not at all visit the Americas at all. Alliances with African kingdoms? No. Use of gunpowder weapons and native allies. Yes, I remember. If I the first major native population that the Spanish conquered were the Aztecs, and the Aztecs had a reputation for whatever village that they conquered, they would sacrifice them, and of course, those who got conquered would not like that at all. which they formed alliances with this powerful group of Spanish colonizers to overthrow them. So it's D. Which of the following accurately describes indenture servitude in the early Atlantic world? Forced labor imposed on African prisoners, slavery based on race and hereditary status, temporary labor contracts in the Europeans in exchange for passage in the colonies, the feudal labor agreement used in medieval. Okay, this one I'm not really 1000% sure. Let's go with D. No, it was not D. Maybe B? Okay, I wrote that wrong. I put B slash. What about B? No, not B. So it's forced labor imposed by African. Okay, I believe it's A, right? No, it's not A. So it's C. Temporary labor contracts for Europeans in exchange for passage. We're gonna have to study more. So the answer is C. Which of the following was a significant long-term effect of the transatlantic slave trade? Dramatic depopulation and political instability in parts of West Africa, the rise of free labor systems across the Americas, elimination of European involvement in African affairs, strengthening of African kingdoms that rejected the trade. This one was A, because everybody was taken to America or somewhere else to work without their consent, meaning because so many people were gone, nobody was really in charge, and less people, obviously. Which of the following crops from the Americas had the greatest demographic impact on Afro-Eurasia? Afro-Eurasia. I believe it was potatoes and corn, maize. Yep. The Dutch East India Company, DOC, is best known for abolishing slavery across its territories, spreading Buddhism. No, alright, first of all, A and B are wrong. Who's gonna abolish slavery during this time? Especially Europeans. Conducting state-sponsored trade and colonization in Southeast Asia, conquering the Mongol, and they were more as traders, not conquerors. So I think it was C. The introduction of horses to the Americas resulted in A, the end of Icomedia system, B, transformation of native hunting and warfare practices. Yes, this is seen in almost every piece of media where they're riding a horse. Okay, okay, and okay. Which particular technology of the period between 1450 and 1750 had an impact on okay, economic structures by increasing productivity? Increasing, increasing productivity. Would that mean agricultural tools? No, that would be the compass then. Oh, it's the economy compass. Wait, what? Why did I? What? Wait, I was right about the agricultural tools. I might have just touched the hitbox for compass then. How might how might the world map look different if Portugal had an initiate maritime exploration? Well, Portugal. I believe they explored a lot. Mm, no, they did not discover the Americas. However, they did map a lot of Africa. Mhm. Which technological innovation most significantly boosted agricultural productivity during the Columbian Exchange? Force for labor. I don't. think that was the development of crop rotation systems. Yes. Wait, what? It was not that? I could have sworn. So it was horses. I guess. Like, reread that question. Columbian exchange. So are they talking about like America? Okay, what could have been a long-term consequence of the Columbian exchange on the global economic patterns if the New World crops had failed? European populations may have stagnated or decreased due to the lack of, yeah. hmm They wouldn't grow. Which of the following was a demographic change in Africa that caused by the Atlantic slave trade? Gender imbalance. The Atlantic slave trade encouraged population growth in Africa. That's a lie. There was a gender imbalance. A bunch of men and boys were taken. A couple of women. Which of the following best explains why Maroon communities in the Americas represented a significant form of resistance to Europe? I believe Maroon. What are Maroon? Hmm. Hmm. Let's go with this one. I'm not really sure. Got lucky with there. Which societal consequence resulted directly from the transatlantic slave trade demand for labor on the New World plantations? African diasporic communities developed in the Americas with distinctive cultural blends, increases social mobility for indigenous peoples due to the labor shortages occurred frequently across. Okay, I feel like it was this one. Yep, they blended together. What critical consequence of Mandarin galleon trade between Asia and the Americas in the 16th? Okay, okay, now this one I don't remember any interactions with Asia with the Americas other than like introducing new food. I think it was okay, we got lucky. Notes. Anything about couple of things we did not know. We were kind of struggling on this one. Uh, ideology. Okay, let's see. Enlightenment. Yes, the Enlightenment ideas. Scientific revolution. Oh, oh, now we're getting more into modern day. Okay. Sadly, no mentions of what we were having a hard time on. Or maybe I just passed them by. Well, that's Unit 4. Wow. Unit 4. Now to Unit 5. Unit 5 represents a time of explosive change where old systems were challenged and new ideas began to shape the world we live in today. Yes, this is where Enlightenment ideas come. They were like, why should we follow the king? And people are like, why not? They started to question authority and stuff, the need for knowledge. Anyways, which of the following most directly contributed to the rise of the European maritime empires in this period? Okay, ocean. Europeans. Ocean and Europeans. Development of gunpowder weapons, the use of caravels, and improvement navigational tools. Let's see. Yes, improvement. Yep. They may have had weapons, but without navigation, they wouldn't have expanded much. Which of the following most directly contributed to the rise of European? Wait, didn't I just didn't I just solve that one? So they're just making me answer it again. The Treaty of Tordesillas, 1494, divided the New World between Spain and Portugal, England and France. No, it was Spain. Yep. Which of the following was a continuity in trade from the pre-modern to early modern period? The establishment of transatlantic trade routes, the use of monsoon, early modern. I believe it's no, no. It was still the use of monsoons. Okay, okay. The use of monsoons for okay navigation in the Indian Ocean. The term joint stock company is associated with the early capitalist ventures in European maritime trade, feudal economy of. This one's hard. I don't remember this term. I don't think I ever read this term. No, it wasn't that. Okay, we're gonna have to keep that. Okay. We skipped one. Wow. Okay, so it was early capitalists. Okay. I guess the early forms of capitalism. What was the primary economic effect of the Atlantic slave trade on the West Africa? Total economic collapse, strengthening of centralized kingdoms through trade profits. I think yeah, African kingdoms would sell slaves. We'd profit out of that. The introduction of which crop from the Americas significantly increased caloric intake? Okay, this was maize, corn. This helped boost populations in Europe by a lot. Which European power was the first to establish a significant maritime empire in the Indian Ocean? First, not who was the best at it. So, Portugal. The triangular trade system primarily involved which region? Okay, this one I never heard. This one? No, I haven't heard. Or maybe I have. Actually, I see it now. The Americas, they send in crops to Europe. Europe doesn't send anything to Africa, but they trade in slaves, so it kind of makes it a triangle. So, yep, got it right. Okay, good. Let's see, anything that we need to know? Uh, and this is talking about like the start of Enlightenment ideas. Okay, which of the following was a direct cause of the American Revolution? Desire of colonists to enslave? No, that was the American Civil War. No, actually, no. Well, we don't want taxes. A major similarity between the American and French Revolution was both led by monarchs. Nope. Resulted, yep, they hated their governments. Which of the following best describe the significance of Declaration of the Rights of Man and of Citizen? If I remember, this was like from Britain, the Rights of Man and the Citizen. Was it Enlightenment based? Yep, it was. Why is the Haitian Revolution considered unique? It was the first successful slave revolt. Yep, it was not peaceful. No, it was freaking bloody. They hanged French soldiers just like they would hang them. It was crazy. Which of the following individuals is most associated with the leadership of the Haitian Revolution? Okay, now this one. I know for a fact my textbook did not expand on who led this. So we're gonna have to take a wild guess. Which one sounds. No. Which one would be more? You? No, it was yellow. Okay. Did we just skip? Yeah, we skipped one again. So it was you. Okay then. Which of the following best explains a cause of the Latin American revolutions? Is that, yep. Wait. Abolish serfdom. I think it was. No, it wasn't that. Okay, so it was here. Who is most associated with the unification of Germany in the late 19th century? Okay, bro, what the frig? I never, they never expanded on this. I'm lost. I'm lost in this one. Okay, it wasn't, okay. Man, I forgot. Okay, bro, what? Make up your mind. So it was Otto von Bismarck. Which three figures were most instrumental in the unification of Italy? What the frick? I don't even know. I don't think it's Bismarck. He was more like Germany. I think it was over here. Okay, the revolutions of the time period were most influential by which intellectual movement? The Enlightenment. Which of the following was the global effect of the Atlantic revolutions? Inspiration for future revolutions and national movements, the immediate end of colonialism. No, colonialism now. Okay, the Industrial Revolution. Oh yeah, now we're getting even more modern. French Revolution. French Revolution was inspired by the American. The Haitian Revolution was inspired by the French. Pretty cool. Meiji Restoration, blah blah blah. Okay, now let's get into the multiple choice questions. In what way was the state sponsorship in Imperial Russia similar to Western European powers during their respective process of industrialization? The Russian serf emancipation paralleled Western moves towards free market and capitalism without state intervention. Both rely primarily on privately funded ventures rather than government spending to support industry. Russian adopt, I don't know how to pronounce that, approaches matching those to prevent England in earlier phases prevalent in England during its earliest phases of industrialization. Both saw significant investment in infrastructure such as railroads. I think it was D. I could be wrong. Yeah, I was right. Okay. Which of the following was a financial tool that foisted capitalism? Limited liability corporation, free trade policy, steam engine. I think it was B. No, it wasn't B. So was it A? It was A. Nationalism. Yep. Nationalism. First, the Opium Wars. Oh yeah, Opium Wars. Now then, the Opium Wars. It was a pretty impactful situation. Glad you made it so far into studying, quote unquote, studying with me. Anyways, that's Unit 1 to 5. I'll make another video featuring Unit 6 all the way to 9. Remember, do not study in this game. Reminder, the game is called AP World Study Game. And do not study in this game. Do not. Use an actual text. Actually, don't even watch this video. I don't know why you even watched this video to begin with. Why? You could have looked at another video. But yeah, that's it. Please subscribe or something. Until next time.